To access the quotation section of JobMaster, click on the Quotation button on the main menu. This will take you to a window which lists all of the quotations that have been created. There are two grids on this window. The top grid lists all of the quotations that have been created and shows the number for each quotation which identifies it, the revision number of the quote, the ID and name of the customer it's being sent to, and the total dollar amount. If you click on one of the quotations in the list, the parts and materials which are in that quotation are displayed in the bottom grid along with their quantities. Notice that there are also 4 buttons at the bottom of the window with arrow-like symbols on them. Going from left to right, the first button selects the quotation at the top of the list. The second button selects the quotation right above the one that's currently selected. The third button selects the quotation right below the one that's currently selected. And the fourth button selects the quotation at the bottom of the list. There are also some search features on this window that allow you to filter the list of quotations. In the upper right corner of the window, there's a Locate By panel. If you click in the circle called Quote ID and then type the number of a quote into the yellow box below and press the Enter key, the list of quotations will be filtered so that only the quote with the number you typed and all of its revisions will be displayed. You can also filter the list to only display the quotes that are for a particular customer. To do this, select the circle called Customer ID and type the ID of the customer into the yellow box below. Then press the Enter key. This will filter the list of quotations so that only the quotes for the customer whose ID you typed will be displayed. Lastly, you can filter the list to only display the quotes that include a particular inventory item. To do this, select the circle called Inventory Number and then type the ID number of the part or material into the yellow box below and press the Enter key. This will filter the list so that only the quotes with the inventory item whose ID you typed will be displayed in the list. Right below the Locate By panel are 2 buttons called Show All Quotes and Show Open Quotes. If you click on the Show All Quotes button, the list of quotations displays all of the quotes you've made, including quotes that have been closed. If you click on the Show Open Quotes button, the list of quotes will be filtered so that only quotes that are currently open are displayed. You can also use the Show All Quotes button to redisplay the full list of quotes after a search has been performed using the Locate By panel. Below the Show All Quotes and Show Open Quotes buttons is another button called Print Open Quotes. Clicking on this button will print a list showing all of the quotes that are currently open. To create a new quote, click on the New button, which opens a window at which you create a new quote. The first thing you should do with this window is select the customer to whom you're sending the quote. This is done using the Customer ID drop-down list. Notice that when you select the customer, their billing and shipping information automatically fills in. If you received a request for quote from the customer, you can enter the number of that request in the RFQ number field, and you can also enter a name into the Attention field. As you can see, there are 3 tabs on this window. The first is the Customer Addresses tab, where the customer's billing and shipping information is displayed. If you click on the Sales Rep, Shipping, and Customer Reference tab, this will open up an area where you can enter information pertaining to the sales representative who is providing the quote, the shipping method used, and notes about the quotation. If you click on the Quote Amount tab, this shows you the totals for the quote. To enter a new line item on the quote, click on the New Line button. This opens up a window where you enter the details for a new line item on the quote. From the Part Number drop-down box, select the part number of the part which you want to add on the quote. The unit price at which you're selling this part automatically appears in the Unit Price field. However, if you want to quote a different unit price, you can replace the unit price that is automatically filled in with whatever price you'd like. In the Quantity field, enter the quantity which you're quoting for. In the Subtotal field, the unit price multiplied by the quantity will automatically display. If you want to enter a discount, select whether you're entering a dollar amount or a percentage, and then enter the discount into the Discount field. Next, if you want to enter a sales tax, first check the Taxable checkbox. Then select whether you're entering a percentage or dollar amount. If you want to add the shipping charges for this item, enter them into the Shipping Charges field. The total, which is the sum of the subtotal, Discount, taxes, and shipping is automatically filled into the total field. You can also enter the expected delivery date into the delivery date field at the bottom. Notice that at the right side of the window there's a grid called Quantity Pricing. Quantity pricing enables you to set the unit price for an item depending on how much the customer is purchasing, or in this case, the quantity you're quoting for. As you can see here, the unit price is $15 for any quantity less than 10. Then it goes down to $12 for a quantity from 10 up, but less than 20. Then it goes down to $10 for any quantity of 20 and up. For example, if we enter a quantity of 15, the unit price becomes $12, and the subtotal calculates to $180. Once you've entered all the information for the new item, then click on the OK button to enter the item on the quote. Click the Cancel button if you want to exit from this window without entering the new item onto the quote. We'll explain what the New Part and Cost Breakdown buttons do in just a moment in this video. If you want to save the part onto the quote and enter another part, then click on the Next Part button. This brings up another window where you can enter the details of another new part. We'll click on the Cancel button to exit from this window. To edit a line item on the quote, click on the item and then click on the Edit Line button. Here you can change any of the details about the line item. Once you've made all of your desired changes, click on the OK button to save them. Click on the Cancel button to exit without making any changes. As mentioned earlier, there are two other buttons called New Part and Cost Breakdown. If you click on the New Part button, this brings up a window where you can enter a new inventory part. Since the details of entering a new inventory part are out of the scope of this video, please view the video concerning the inventory section for how to use this window. If you click on the Cost Breakdown button, this lets you edit the cost breakdown for the item. But first, you must choose whether the cost breakdown only applies for this quote or whether you're making changes to the cost breakdown on file for this item in inventory. Once you select your option, click on the OK button. This takes you to a new screen where you can edit the cost breakdown for the item. If a cost breakdown is already on file for the item, then the information will automatically appear in this window. Otherwise, everything will be blank and you'll have to make one from scratch. The total calculated cost for the cost breakdown becomes the unit price for the item. However, a complete description of how to use this window is out of the scope of this video. View the video on the Inventory section of JobMaster for complete details about the cost breakdown window. If you'd like to delete a line item from the quote, just click on the line item, then click on the Delete Line button. Click Yes when asked to confirm that you want to delete the item from the quote. You can also send a letter along with your quote and compose it by using the Quote Letter feature. To use this feature, click on the Letter button, which opens up the window where you can compose a quote letter. At the top of the window, you can see that the date is already filled in along with the address you're sending the quote to. To the right of that, you can enter a letter number and the information for attention, request for quote number, quoted by, and additional comments are automatically filled in. There are 5 sections to the quote letter, each represented by the 5 tabs below called Opening, Delivery, Notes, Closing, and Signature. When you've entered the verbiage for each section, click on the Print button to print the quote letter. Click on the OK button to save the quote letter and exit the window, or click on the Cancel button to exit the window without saving your changes to the quote letter. Lastly, you can print the quote by clicking on the Print button. Keep in mind, however, that printing the quote will save it, so only print the quote if you intend to save it. Notice that there is also a Sales Order button on this window. This button lets you produce a sales order from a quote. We show you how to do this in the video for the Sales Order section, so please view that video for instructions on how to use that button to create a sales order from a quote. Once you're finished entering all of the information on the quote, click on the OK button to save it, or you can click on the Cancel button to exit from this window without saving the new quote. To exit an existing quote, click on the quote and then click on the Edit button. This opens up a window where you can edit the quote. Click on the OK button when you've made all your desired changes, or click on the Cancel button to exit from this window without saving any changes. Now we'll discuss the two different types of quotations you can create in JobMaster: standard quotes and quantity pricing quotes. You'll notice that in the upper left-hand corner of the window, there are two selections called Standard Mode and Quantity Pricing Mode. As you can see, Standard Mode is currently selected because the quote you're currently editing is a standard quote. A standard quote has a single price and quantity for each line item on the quote. All quotes you create in JobMaster are standard quotes by default. A quantity pricing quote allows you to give multiple prices for a single line item based on the quantity a buyer might purchase. This allows the buyer you're quoting to see what discount they're getting on an item based on how many units they're purchasing. To change a quote to a quantity pricing mode, first click on the circle next to Quantity Pricing Mode. You'll be asked to confirm that you want to switch to quantity pricing mode. As the message prompt warns you here, once you switch to quantity pricing mode, you lose all pricing information in your quote. After you confirm, all your line items are listed with a quantity of 0. Now what you can do is list the same part multiple times, each with a different price and a quantity, to demonstrate the quantity discount the buyer is given. For example, we'll click New Line to enter some ball bearings onto the quote. We'll list them as $1 each. Now we'll do the same again, but list them as 50 cents, but with a quantity of 100, which means that if you purchase 100 or more, the price drops from $1 to 50 cents. Again, we can list them as 25 cents with a quantity of 1,000, which means that if you purchase 1,000 or more, the price drops to 25 cents. This is how you use the quantity pricing mode to show the buyer what discounts they're getting based on the quantity they're purchasing. As with quotes in standard mode, you can use the print button to print the quantity pricing quote and send it to the customer. Now, once you've entered all of the information for a quantity pricing quote, you can change it to a standard quote if you wish. To do so, select the standard mode option in the upper left part of the window. This will open a window where you have to choose which price you're giving to a customer for each item that was on the quantity pricing quote. To do this, click on the price you want to give in the left pane. Then click on the Select button in the center to move it to the right. You cannot select two prices for the same item. If there is an item for which you do not select a price, it is simply left off the quote when you switch it to standard mode. You can also unselect a price by clicking on it in the right pane and clicking the Unselect button. Once you've selected the prices for all of your items, then click on the OK button to transfer the quantity pricing quote to a standard quote, or click on the Cancel button to cancel changing the quote to a standard quote. As a final note, notice that at the top right of the window there is a checkbox called Closed. You check this checkbox to indicate that a quotation is closed. We'll click on the OK button to exit from this window for now. You can create revisions of quotes as well. A revision of a quote has the same number as the original quote, but a different revision number. Any changes you make to the revision are not reflected in the original quote. To create a revision of a quote, just click on the quote you want to revise and then click on the Revise button. This opens a window where you can edit the revision. You'll notice that all of the information from the original quote is already present. Notice that at the top of the window that the revision number is 1. If you choose to make another revision, that one will be numbered 2, and the revision after that will be numbered 3, and so on. Once you've made all of your desired changes, then click on the OK button to save the new revision. You can also make an exact copy of a quote. This new copy is identical to the original quote but has a new quote number. To do this, click on the quote you want to make a copy of, then click on the Reproduce button. This makes a brand new quote but copies all of the information from the original quote into it. Click on the OK button to exit from this window. Lastly, if you want to delete a quote from JobMaster, click on it and then click on the Delete button. You'll be prompted to confirm that you want to delete the quote. Click Yes to confirm that you want to delete the quote. When you're finished working in the quotation section of JobMaster, click on the Close button to exit back to the main menu.